Well, I want to talk about the MacBook thing, which to me is not as serious. But is there anything else serious that we should talk about before we move on to that? I want to make sure that we, address that stuff, and
Yeah,
for the sake of the audience, because I know they're going to want to hear about this stuff. If there is anything else,
yeah. Like I said, I just want to make that really clear. It's like I understand the severity of the situation. I always have, and I will completely take accountability for being a toxic partner while using drugs. That's just what happened. That's who I was in that moment, and it sucks because that's not really who I am as a person. But drugs do really horrible things to you. But you're not going to throw rape on my name, and I'm not going to accept that. And unfortunately, that is an allegation and stuff, and that's fine. But that's not something that I do. That's not my MO. So I'm not. It's not going to take me out like that.
got it. Well, let's talk about the MacBook thing. This is something that people, whenever your name comes up, people still bring this up all the time.
Yeah.
And we can talk about exactly, or you can talk about exactly what happened. But my understanding is, you scammed some people selling fake MacBooks to get drugs, which is not a cool thing to do.
No.
But it was like what, 11 or 12 years ago now, or something like that.
And
People
what?
still bring it up. But with that said, and I guess these were like fans, right? So
Where? Yep.
I think that's a good time. And I'm sure at the time, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure that you knew that that was not a cool thing to do. Can you
Yeah.
talk about, how when you're using, especially something like opiates, you find yourself doing all kinds of things that you never thought you would do and becoming a person that you didn't think you would become?
Yeah. It all kind of started. I was on Rise, and um, anytime I needed money, I would just hit them up. They'd send me copious amounts of money. I'd be like, hey, I need 2,000. I'd call 2 weeks later, I need $5,000. They would just send me money. And, I was spending this money on drugs, of course. And
Now, were you just into heroin, or were you
at
into
this
anything
time,
else?
I really wasn't doing heroin yet. I was just shooting like pills.
Okay.
Um,
But same difference at the end
Pretty
of the
much.
day.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's just what I was getting a hold of at
Yeah.
the time. I was living in Kentucky, so
And back then, it was easier to get a hold of pills than it is now, from what I understand.
yeah, it was a lot easier. And so I was doing that, and it was just steady all the time. I didn't have any problems. I never had any issues, so I never got sick.
Right.
I never
And
experienced.
what does sick mean for someone who doesn't understand?
When you get sick, when you get dope sick, it's just, I mean, there's no thinking. You have one goal, and that goal is to stop the hurt. You
Like,
know,
what happens, if you don't use for, depending, like half a day or something like that? How do you feel?
my body would literally like just go into shock. Like I would have like the most intense anxiety you've ever had in your life. Your body starts to ache. You literally just can't stop using the restroom. It's just nonstop, and you just feel like it's never going to end. Until you get that, till you can make yourself well, is what we call it, getting yourself well. Um, and it's just it literally just it sends your body kind of into this shock state where you're in pain, and your brain is just telling you one thing. It doesn't matter how you get it, it doesn't matter why you're getting it, it doesn't matter who you're getting it from. You need to have that in that moment.
Yeah, I'll tell you the moment I really realized how real this is. I was never into opiates. I did like coke and speed and stuff, but um my mom, I remember she died maybe 5 years ago or something like that. And I remember they called because like she donated her organs, and they
Yeah.
called me and was asking questions about her like the day after she died. And they said, has this been does she have HIV? No, no, no. Has she ever sold, has she ever accepted money or drugs for sex? And I was like, actually, yes, she has, because she was a prostitute for a while when she was in her 20s.
Yeah.
And, having to answer that call, about my mom and say yes to that question was pretty fucking heavy. and that's what, like that's what you will do when you're an addict.
Yeah, you literally will. You don't
Anything.
you don't think. There's no thinking involved, unless it's about the drugs or how you're going to achieve them.
Yeah. So you were dope sick and you were thinking, how am I going to get
Well,
money
I
to
had never
score?
really been dope sick, so the money was just coming in. And then one day, they call me, my manager and Rise, and they just say, "Hey, you're it's just too much. We had to cut you off," because they knew I was doing drugs. Obviously, I've done them in front of them, um, and they never really cared that much because I was always able to do my job or whatever. But
It's usually a lie when people say that they're so surprised that someone was
yeah,
an addict. Oh, we didn't know. It's usually a lie.
I mean, they knew. I mean, they did their own drugs. They never did like opiates and then whatever coke and party drugs, stuff,
Yeah.
things that are acceptable. But obviously shooting drugs is not acceptable. So, but they called me, cut me off, and I was just like, "Fuck!" It's like, what am I gonna do? I don't have any money. I don't have any income, and I had like an $800 a day pill habit because they were $30 a pill, $1 a milligram. So I was like, fuck, okay, I need to start selling things. Legitimately, wanted to start just selling my stuff. And so I go on my Twitter. I had two MacBooks. One I had was black, one I had was white. I had bought one for my ex at the time so she could do her school. So I bought two and I posted online, hey, $800 or best offer on my Twitter. And like immediately was like 30 emails. So I was like, okay, I clicked the first one. The dude, I told him whatever. He said, yeah, I'll pay $100, blah, blah, blah. Said, okay, let's do MoneyGram because it was right by my house. And I didn't have a bank account at the time. Um, and so he sent the money. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, I haven't even like put the thing in a box. I hadn't even told him I was going to go to UPS, nothing. And without even thinking, bro, I just did it again and again and again and again and again and again until I think it was racked up like $33,000 over the course of about, I want to say just under 2 weeks, 33 grand. And like every day, I wake up, answer an email, boom, go get the drugs. Then I was fine, do it again. And I had never experienced being sick. So when I got sick like that, I didn't know what to do, like I said. So I started resorting to selling things, and that's where your mind goes.
Right.
You don't care. Your possessions start to mean nothing. Things that would be like priceless to you while we're sober right now would mean nothing because I only wanted to not feel that pain.
I think of it almost like, when someone is that deep in opiates, especially, I think there's something unique about opiates in that way. When someone's that deep in an opiate addiction, it's almost like a zombie movie where like the virus has control of their brain. And, the only thing you can do is like kill them unless they're free of that virus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not, I mean, people are responsible for their actions,
Yeah.
but you can't really look at them as the same person as they are when they're sober because they're not.
Yeah. Like I would never do if you would ask me, would you do that if you were sober? I wouldn't even think twice about that. I'd go get a job.
Right.
I'd go and apply for unemployment or, I'd find another option because I wouldn't be sick. So I would be able to think clearly and I would be able to make a decision of finding another way to deal with my financial problems.
So, this has followed you for a long time. How do you feel about that now?
At this point, like I feel like it's kind of a joke to me now. I get it, and most people that kind of bring it up, I think they're just mostly joking. You know, the everyone got paid back. I didn't get royalties for like a million years. We made sure everyone was paid back so that there was no legal blowback, nothing like that. And I know that's still not doesn't make it right, but it was a big step forward trying to rectify the situation. For me, was just trying to make that make it right in some way. And, I tried to apologize to some people. Some of the people I still talk to that I scam, they still hit me up. We still speak. A couple people that live in the UK, I still speak to. They've come to my shows when I go over there. We had drinks last time I was over there. So I think that for me, I moved past it. Obviously, I felt like I made my peace with it. I did my best to try to make amends to the ones that I could reach out to, and I feel like I've moved past it. And I know a lot of people have as well. And just it's funny because some people bring it up like they just found out about it yesterday or something.
Right.
Like I just did it